Guys, welcome back to another live interview. Today, I've got a very special guest, actually a friend of mine, and we haven't actually spoken video since before the pandemic, which is really scary. I'd like to welcome for the first time to the Aspie world, Mr. Kerry Magro. Kerry, what's going on?
My man, it's so good finally seeing you. I hope everything's going well, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, dude, it's going crazy. It's nice to kind of like just do something different for this World Autism Awareness Week or Acceptance Week, which is really cool. But it's nice to get back in the swing and kind of like have some, I don't know, FaceTime with people, because I feel like the pandemic ripped that apart, and everyone was kind of like crazy doing stuff. So it's nice to be back. So how are you, dude? How's it going?
Life is good. April is just World Autism Acceptance Month, World Autism Month madness. But life has been good. We're opening back up. I'm based in Hoboken, New Jersey, so in the
Oh,
States. And I have a new book coming out on March 29th, 2022 called Autistics on Autism. So excited for the book to come out and then to
amazing.
kind of just go on the speaking tour. Most of my talking events are still virtual as people kind of ramp that back up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really good.
Dude, that's awesome. And we're going to talk about the book in a little while, but just for anybody who doesn't know, would you kind of just introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us like what you do and kind of what you're involved with.
Sure. So my name is Dr. Kerry Magro. I'm a public speaker, author, autism entertainment consultant, and nonprofit founder. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 4. A little later down the line, diagnosed with dysgraphia. I was nonverbal as a child. Didn't start speaking complete sentences until 7, but due to the support of a loving family and therapists and educators and the entire village, I was able to overcome many of my obstacles. And I graduated with my doctorate 3 years ago and have been a professionally certified public speaker since 2016. And it's given me the opportunity to travel the globe and talk about autism and inclusion as my full-time job, but then also to have a nonprofit where I provide scholarships for autistic students to go to college, while also doing different disability inclusion events within our communities, while also continuing to advocate for our disability community in other ways too.
Dude, you're like a superhero. Like, honestly, I feel like I do nothing compared to you. Like, I barely, that goes off an advocate. I barely do anything compared to you. This guy's amazing, guys. Honestly, you have to check him out. I'm gonna leave all his links and for the socials in the description of these videos and in the show notes of this podcast. But Kerry, like, seriously, it's an honor, dude. Like, I came across you on Facebook, and then I think you messaged me. I think you were looking for some kind of like collabs or something. And but this is
Yep.
when like the funny thing was when I went on your Facebook show, I had like no followers on Facebook, nothing like that. I maybe had like 10,000 followers on Facebook. I mean, now it's like crazy. We're like 125,000 or something on Facebook, which is cool. It's kind of ramping up. But back then it was cool. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not really into the Facebook people. I was more on like YouTube. It was so cool to see. And it kind of like being on your show really made me think about kind of like the Facebook world of autism advocacy, right? And I know a lot of people kind of like, what the hell does that got to do with anything? But to me, being a social media kind of nerd, it was really interesting to see that what the difference was between Facebook and YouTube and Twitter as well. Because Twitter is quite controversial at times. You probably experienced that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away by your content, though, man. It's like I know so many people, especially even in my social circles, who are not on all social media channels. So the way that you've kind of reused your content on YouTube, obviously, you're like the guru of YouTube when it comes to the autism community. I think the last time I saw you had like 130,000 subscribers. You probably have more now.
We're about to hit
And
200,000, dude.
oh my God, what?
Yeah.
This is 3 years of me not being able to chat with you. But the way that you've been able to reuse
Yeah.
content on Facebook, TikTok, and all these other platforms has been, it actually has inspired me as well. I reshare a lot of my TikToks and YouTube
Nice.
videos on all social media now. And you've kind of been inspiration behind that as well. So it definitely goes both
Dude.
ways.
My man, thank you so much. You know what's really interesting is I never used to. Like I used to just kind of link everything to my YouTube channel. And then I realized that somebody said to me, or they messaged me and said, I'm not on YouTube. Like, how can I see your content? And I was like, well, get a YouTube, channel or whatever and subscribe. And they said, well, no, I don't want one. I was like, that's a good point. What are you on? And they're like, I'm on Instagram. I was like, okay, cool. I'll make Instagram videos. So literally, I put an Instagram video out every single day. I up until last week, I put 2 videos out a day on Facebook, but now I do just 1 video a day on Facebook. I put 2 to 3 videos a week on YouTube, and we put a podcast episode out pretty much every day. So Instagram, Reels, and TikTok, we're doing daily content on there, but my editor is being delayed for like a week or two, so I'm waiting for my content to come back. But rightfully, as you said, I'm repurposing content because it's so important that the messages that I put out, not everybody is on every platform. So I have to kind of like post it about and make sure that it's getting to those people. And we also have something very interesting. We've got an AI bot that transposes video content into a blog, so that if you want to digest it through written word, then you can do it. And it's very, very clever. The AI is absolutely fantastic. And if you're interested in that, I can hook you up. So let me know. Yeah, definitely. It's awesome.
I definitely will.
Cool, dude. Cool. So Hoboken, New Jersey, everything's cool. Loads of Guidos, a lot of pizza. I love it. Hoboken.
Yeah.
I've only been to New Jersey once, dude, right? I went to Newark and I was scared for my life.
A little intimidating for sure there.
I mean, for this like skinny white dude from the UK, I was like, whoa. But it was cool. It was cool. I love America. It's great. So your book, dude, let's talk about this new book coming out. Like this isn't like the first book you've got coming out, or is it?
So this is the 4th book I've come out with. Okay. I've self-published 3 books, and then I wrote a children's book called I Will Light It Up Blue, focused on twins who are on the autism spectrum. That came out in 2019. This book, Autistics on Autism, ironically enough, I've given 100 partial scholarships for autistic students to go to college. Many of those individuals had to write an essay as part of their scholarship essay, and we actually decided, there's so many parents, there's so many self-advocates who are teenagers who are really just looking for stories from actually autistic people. So why not turn it into a tell-all? So we're going to publish this book, and it's going to be about 100 stories of autistic adults and what helped them navigate growing up. And all of the adults are either still in college or are completed college. So hopefully it's going to be a great resource for post-secondary programs in the future as well.
Wow, dude. And do you personally know all these people, right? Or were these kind of submissions that you kind of come across?
We have received over 250 scholarship applications over the past 9 years since we started this scholarship program in 2013. And it's literally blown my mind just to see the amount of people across the globe who are really embracing neurodiversity in our autism community. I mean, we've had people from the UK, we've had people from China, we've had people from Canada, we've had people from the United States, and all these individuals, I mean, just the unique and interesting stories of how they navigated adolescence with autism. It's truly remarkable.
Wow, dude, that's like super inspirational, dude. Like, honestly, that's like far out, man. Like so like my dream is to have like a charity or not for profit organization where I can help people with different things, and I'm halfway there at the moment. The first phase, which is something really cool, and we're doing something similar with scholarships where we're able to provide diagnosis for people who are really struggling, right, and they can't afford it, right, or their insurance don't cover it. So that's kind of really cool. It's similar to what you're doing. And in terms of like, scholarship kind of ways, but and I love that, dude. Like, it's so inspiring. So autism community, like, what kind of content do you put out? Like, what kind of stuff do people expect to see from you? So they stumble across your videos, or they go to your Twitter or whatever. Like, what are they going to find?
Most of it is going to be educational videos. I try to post a lot of educational videos. I do a lot of listicles, and sometimes I get feedback from other self-advocates. Sometimes I just do it from my own perspective. So I've talked about things such as post-secondary, the transition to adulthood with autism, toilet training, sleep challenges, and a wide range of issues that are impacting our autism community today. So it's not only about helping educate parents who just have that child who's newly diagnosed, but really trying to focus on the lifespan, because I feel like a lot of the times our topics are mainly focused on early intervention, are focused on schooling, but a lot of it at times is not focused on adulthood. So I really try to navigate that in most of the content that I'm posting on my Facebook page, Kerry's Autism Journey, my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, which is just my name, Kerry Magro, YouTube as well, just a Kerry's Autism Journey. I post that type of content. And I try to do listicles simply because it's just an easy, I have, due to my dysgraphia, I sometimes have a huge writing block. So
Yeah,
being
sure.
able to write just 10 key points really is a benefit to me.
Dude, I totally agree. You know, a lot of my videos are in that like list format, and I think it's probably the easiest structure to flow when you're trying to relay information, right? Because it's one of the things that people on the spectrum have an issue with. You know, I have an issue with trying to relate information out, so I've had to really train myself. Like, how am I supposed to put this information out? I've invested in a teleprompt now, right? And if you don't have one, dude, you need to get one. They're so good,
Oh, I
and
do.
you do. So, and it changed my life. I was like, holy smokes! Like, where has this thing been in my whole life? But I totally get it. Now, Facebook is your like primary platform, right? Like this is where you normally are. And I'm sure, do you do like live weekly kind of like show on that or something? Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So we have highlighted, especially when COVID-19 started happening, we used to do in-person interviews with self-advocates where we would sit down with a few self-advocates everywhere we were asked to speak. Due to COVID, most of our talks went virtual. So we've been trying to do 1 hour Facebook Lives with a wide range of self-advocates from across the globe. We've kind of trickled that down just a little bit, but we're trying to ramp it up with Autism Acceptance Month coming up. We've reached a pretty sizable audience in the Facebook world. We have about 218,000 Facebook followers, and it's definitely one of our biggest platforms and where we've seen the most engagement overall.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. Like, and I love Facebook. Like, I've just, like I said, I started doing videos on Facebook, and the reception I got was so cool. Like, I love Facebook now, and just being on the platform, it just works. It's just so cool. It's so cool to be involved in the Facebook world, and I'm super happy. And it's your fault. You only got me started on Facebook, dude. Like, it was your fault, man. I carried on
I will
doing it.
gladly take the blame. I will gladly take the blame.
No, it's cool. It's good. And you can monetize it now with like ad revenue from like videos, which is so dope, and like people can support you with like subscriber content. I think that's so great as well. So a big shout out to anybody who subscribed to my Facebook subscribers. You guys know who you are. You're all awesome. So in terms of you do a lot of flying about the world, as do I now. I do keynote talks around the world. I've done loads everywhere. And it kind of came secondary. I never intended to be a speaker, but it kind of came naturally as part of that job. People want you to come and, they see you doing videos, and then you expect you to kind of go and talk. And I found a lot of different issues while traveling. One was like logistics. Logistics is a nightmare. So I have to have a logistical assistant with me, right? So my question to you is, what have you found the biggest challenge doing your job as an autistic person?
I think the biggest challenge is kind of what you were talking about. It's the transitions and it's the logistics. I can't stand the aspect of flight delays and having unexpected challenges happen. I still, to this day, I mean, so many people will come up to me and they say, Kerry, how are you able to cure yourself of your autism? And I kind of have to remind them I will have autism every day for the rest of my life. It's not a disorder that you get rid of at any time. But yeah, no, I think the biggest one is just those transitional changes. I fly by myself everywhere. I don't bring my assistant. So it's a lot of juggling at times, and then just speaking at events sometimes can be very overwhelming. Granted, most of the places I'm speaking to are for parents or educators, so personal space sometimes is a challenge where they hear your story and they come up and they immediately try to hug you. And even to this day, because of my sensory challenges, I'm kind of like, I love your enthusiasm, but just give me a second and kind of
Yeah.
prompt me before, like, I'm a big hugger, but like prompt me before you're going to like sneak
Start
attack in.
touching. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
like,
I
I
think
think
those
it's
are the big challenges.
Yeah, dude, and I can totally sympathize with those. I think, the we saying about hugging, like the light touch of like a hug, like, oh, if people like touching me, dude, it's like just can't do it. It has to be a good, firm, strong, manly hug. Like I can't just do this light touch stuff, and that's difficult, right? Because I have a relationship. I live with my partner, and we have a son and stuff, but and she don't be like, oh, hey, how's it going? And touch my like it's really interesting. And the hugging thing, like you said, you can really enjoy hugs, but you can also really not enjoy the spontaneity of people trying to hug you, right? Which is what happens a lot. So, all right. So, really quickly then. So, before we wrap this all up, I want to know, what are you looking forward to? What's Carrie's future like? What was Dr. Magro's like next mission? What projects are you working on after the book? What's next? I just love the kind of stuff you do, and you're always ongoing. And I love this in the community, and I wish there was more of it. So, let me know, what are you doing? What can people expect from you?
So I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't really talk too much about my next project, but I am happy to say that I've continued my work in the entertainment world. So I have a project coming up about autism that I had the opportunity to consult for that will be available on a streaming service in the nearby future. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, I mean, I one of the goals I have for myself is for my next book. I did my dissertation in my doctorate on the perception and resources for parents who are part of online communities and how that helped them navigate their child's diagnosis. So, because I did in a qualitative study, I really hope that I can turn my findings into a book to help parents who have a child who's just newly diagnosed. Along with that, I have a children's book that I'm doing. I've played a autism and sensory friendly Santa for 8 years now as part of my
Dude,
nonprofit.
that's fire.
Uh, yeah, no. So I'm actually going to write a children's book with a very, very young girl who's been one of my elves every year since the event started, basically on and sensory friendly Santa. And hopefully it will be a book that kids can really embrace during the holidays to learn a little bit more about autism, but then also self-advocates to learn a little bit more about just embracing your autism and who you are as a person.
Dude, I love it. Like, I love everything you're doing. It's definitely one of the cleverest people I know. Honestly, I feel so stupid when I talk to him. Like, oh, I should be doing all these things. Like, why I need to learn from this guy. Dude, I love it. And I love the consultancy stuff. I did some of that myself. I worked with Netflix on Atypical. There's a show called Atypical. I don't know if you saw that on Netflix, but it was a
Of
good,
atypical.
it's
Yep.
great. And I consulted them on they made season one, and they were editing season one. And then they asked me to consult with them. But they'd already made season one. So what I had to do, I had like early screenings for season one, and I had to then kind of educate them on kind of like how they should transition the guy for season two, because the season one was really like the guy had every condition, like every trait in the condition you could think of, right? And I said, well, you need to kind of like vary it a little bit. It was really fun. It was really fun working with them. So the entertainment industry is coming around. I love that you're working with them. There's a company called the Ruderman Foundation who advocate for yeah, this kind of thing, right? And I did like a scholarship with them in MIT in Boston, and they did this like this seminar thing in MIT, and we did this whole like social media. And anyway, the cool thing about it was they're really pushing for disability inclusion within Hollywood and stuff. And I think what you're doing is really in that realm, and it's so nice to see more of that coming. You know what I mean? Because it kind of breaks down that barrier of everyone's too scared to do it. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna get it wrong and all this kind of stuff. So it's cool. So yeah, dude, big salute for that, man. So it's a
Well,
good task.
salute to you. Atypical was, I mean, for most people in the autism community, one of the most authentic portrayals of autism. And season two, especially hiring all the
Yeah,
autistic actors to play autistic characters. We
yeah.
actually gave a partial scholarship to Talia Anderson, who played Sid on season two and season three of the show. So it's such a small world, but I love the
Yeah,
Roman Foundation as
yeah,
well. They do
yeah.
some great work.
Yeah, Jay's cool. He's a good friend of mine. I think they do great work. The Rhythm Foundation are fantastic. It's a shame they had to close the program in person for the past couple of years, which is really annoying. But I did the Link 20 Foundation with them, and it was just absolutely great. You know, we spent like 10 days in MIT, and we met with Google and Facebook and everybody, and we did loads of cool stuff. It was great. And I lost my medication while I was there, so I had to go to a hospital in America, and it cost me $1,000 to see a doctor in America because I had no insurance. Well, I did have insurance, but because it was a pre-existing condition, they kind of went through that loophole, right? Which is horrible. So
I am so sorry. Our health care
yeah,
here
healthcare
is
sucks, dude.
not the best.
You know what the funny thing was? I paid $1,000 to see the physician for like literally like 10 minutes, and he gave me a script. The script was $11. You know, so my meds were $11. I went to CVS, it was like $11. I get the check from the hospital, and I'm like $1,000. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, but you know, it is what it is, and that's what it is. But yeah, yeah, Rhythm Foundation is cool. And the whole atypical thing, it is a small world, isn't it? I love that. But you can see the contrast between the character in season 1 and season 2, how they kind of like really, because that was one of the biggest things. I said, whoa, guys, you just made this huge, like, it was so cool. It was so cool. But yeah, love it. I'm excited about your project. Once it's all out and non-disclosure is not needed, you have to tell me, dude. I want in. I want all the knowledge, all the gossip. It's gonna be so fire.
I definitely will.
Kerry, where can everybody find you online? They want to know more. They want to like digest your content. Where can they go?
Sure. So you can check out my website, kerrymagro.com, if you just want to learn more about the autism community, the disability world, but also hire me to potentially speak in your area or virtually. I'm also on Facebook at Kerry's Autism Journey, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Just my name, Kerry Magro. And my book, Autistics on Autism, will be out when this video airs. It comes out officially on 3/29 on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. I hope you check it out. 100% of the proceeds from this book are, ironically enough, going back to the nonprofit. So we don't make any money off this book. We're just doing to support the cause.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. I love it. I love it. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Kerry, for joining us on this very special episode for World Autism Acceptance Week. You've been awesome. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Peace.